Hello and welcome back to the Social Science Club. My name is Toussaint Morrison. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate you being here. Got a slightly new setup. We are going to jump directly into it. To give you the rundown of what we do here, I give you the content, then I give you the context of that content, and then I give you a bigger historical, larger frame lesson to apply to what happened within that content. Because many times we get wrapped up in what happened. Well, why did it happen? We get just encapsulated and isolated in the story, and we're not able to see what the bigger lesson is. And a lot of people that follow my work or follow my writing, that you see that a lot of it is about societal change, questioning certain infrastructures and institutions, so forth. Either way, we're going to jump into something that recently happened in Italy. A Benetton rugby player, black Italian rugby player named Cherif Traoré, he was with his teammates during a Secret Santa gift exchange, and one of his white teammates gave him a rotten banana. Now, the context or the content of that is an extremely emotionally violent, racist, harmful, sad gesture to make towards your teammate. The connotations that come with giving black athletes, giving them bananas or throwing bananas at them is not uncommon. This happens in Europe all the time during what the greater world calls football and what we in the United States call soccer. There are banana peels thrown at athletes, black athletes. There are full bananas thrown at black athletes on the pitch. And Cherif Traoré was given a rotten banana from his teammate. The content of that obviously is what I just said. It's extremely harmful and problematic. The larger kind of fanning out here is that it's coming from a teammate. And in the earlier video that I made, I said there is a lesson to be learned in that not everybody within proximity of you or in your family or in your team or people that are quote unquote friends with you has your liberation in mind. It is extremely paramount. I think it's paramount to understand that the people around you don't always have your best interests in mind. And it's up to you to figure out who they are and not why they don't have your best interests in mind, but why are they in your life? Why are you still keeping these people in your life that don't have your best interests in mind, that don't support you, and that are actually wishing harm upon you? Now, to this teammate, to him it may have been a joke, and we talk about ignorance being optional or misinformed. I've gone back and forth with so many friends about what ignorance is worse. Somebody that knows what they're doing and continues to do it, or somebody that doesn't know anything at all and is just like, whoops, didn't know. And what we need to understand is how do we manage, deal, and operate with that ignorance in our life? And then going forward, where do we set the healthy boundary on that ignorance? And it's extremely important to really manage healthy boundaries, especially within your life, with your family, with your friends, with a lot of people. And from going to therapy for, I think it'll be 3 years now, the first thing that I learned how to do, healthy boundaries. Just a healthy boundary on something. Unfortunately, in Cherif's place, he's on a team. He's getting paid to play rugby. So he's not in a position to say, yes, get this racist player out of here. Now, that could happen. There were some repercussions that befell the player taking part in racist actions. Just crack my fingers here. Racist behavior. And the context of it, what I just told you is that bananas are directed towards black athletes in Europe all the time. What it's communicating is said black athlete is subhuman. It's communicating that, and this is when we look at a lot of words that were created simply to marginalize and dehumanize black people. Were to just say that black people, that we're not human, that we are not worthy of being treated like white people. And what it's inversely saying is it's humanizing white people to dehumanize black people. Whenever somebody says something spiteful or disdainful in one direction, that action is to hurt or directed towards that person, but inversely, it is to somewhat pedestalize or ascend or to compliment the person that's directing the ire or the racist behavior. But getting back to the context of it, what it's trying to communicate is that Shareef is an animal. And this white player is either making fun of that, humorizing it, marginalizing it, whatever he's doing, it's a negative. It's obviously it's something that is intended to hurt him. And as many people that might say, oh no, it's just for a laugh or something like that, no, it's still hurtful. It still hurts Shareef. Clearly did, because he communicated it, it went public, hit headlines, went everywhere. And when we talk about the dehumanization of black people, inversely, what is it trying to do? Humanize the people that are dehumanizing black people, which in this case is a white rugby player. So getting back to what all of this means, what I can communicate from my life experience is I made a bet with my civics teacher, Neil Anderson, rest in peace, in 9th grade. And I told him, hey, he was the coach of the swim team at the time. And I told him, hey, if I do not make the basketball team, I'll join the swim team. And I did not make the basketball team. And so I ended up joining the swim team, had an amazing time. It was so much fun, met so many amazing people. I would never trade the experience for anything else. And what happened as a result of being a black body in a very white space, in a very white sport in Minnesota, was a significant amount of racism. And there was even one swimmer that left the team because of racism. And I never faulted him and never blamed him. It was a choice that they made and to move on with their life because they didn't want to be around racist behavior. And I experienced countless times of even teammates saying racist things. And it was hard to navigate when I reflect upon it now. I really thought about quitting the team, but because I didn't know who to talk to. One of the coaches in 9th grade was black. It was great. He was the one who really, really kept me with the sport. And then my sophomore year, he was gone. He was off doing something else. But that experience, I mean, it is absolutely isolating. And it is so lonely because you're around people that are supposed to be on your team, yet they're saying these racist things. And to navigate that, there really was no precedent. There wasn't a phone call I could send my dad and say, hey, did you ever experience being on a white athletic team and being called racist things? Couldn't do it with my mom. And so finding that way God, it was so difficult. Just thinking about it now, there's a lot of emotions and feelings surfacing right now. But to this day, it molded me into who I am. And I'm not saying that it was a great thing that happened. I do believe everything happens for a reason. But in the case of Shareef Traoré, there's a saying that there's the 4 rules of George Floyd Square, and one of them is, not everybody has your liberation in mind. And I said that in the beginning. And it may be with the people that are standing 5 feet away from you. They do not have your liberation in mind. And actually, they may have your demise in mind. And that's what Shareef Traoré's teammate had, was his demise in mind, which is awful. And it really, really, it beckons me to bring up the W.B. Du Bois quote, double consciousness, or the theory, double consciousness. And it's the idea that black Americans look at every situation first as an American and then as a black American. What does my body mean in this space? Well, what does my black body mean in this space? And reflecting on that, Shareef just can't just be a rugby player. He can't just be an Italian rugby player. He's a black Italian rugby player. So he's not just dealing with people trying to take his head off on the field. He's dealing with his own teammates doling out racist rhetoric and having to manage that emotionally. And it's that is the scenario, the circumstance and apparatus that many black people face all the time. And Gordon Parks, the foreword in his book, A Choice of Weapons, was by Wing Young Huey. And Wing Young Huey said, we're never looked at as artists first. We're looked at as artists through the prism of race first. Ah, that is an Asian photographer. Ah, that is a black photographer. And Sharif can't just be a rugby player. He's a black rugby player. And for people that say, well, just put race aside, I'm sure he tried to, but his teammates wouldn't let him. And so we have a case where the people surrounding you do not have your liberation in mind. And the bigger lesson here is how do you create a life where that's just not allowed? And is it even possible? Certain people have jobs that they can't get out of where somebody is doling out racist rhetoric, and there's no way you're going to separate yourself from that unless you get a new job. And that's going to be tough. Or find a new team. And in the grand scheme of white supremacy being everywhere in the globe, you're not going to escape it. We're going to have to deal with it at some point. And the question is how? And are the people in your circle advocating for you to win? It is wild to think that in a game, somebody on your team would not be cheering for you to win. And that's literally what Sharif Traore's white teammate did. Literally advocated against him for winning while he's on the same team as him. We'll get into this down the line, how racism actually takes down white people as well in the grand scheme of things. And this is where we're kind of getting at it a little bit while we talk about the team here. And this white teammate who thought that he was doling out some type of humor or whatever he thought he was doing actually hurts him too. He doesn't know it. And we'll get into that later in another video. And I definitely will be talking about my swim team experience down the line. But I hope that you found some value out of this video. And I just found this entire headline to be fascinating and wanted to do a quick 1-minute video on it, and then really wanted to do a long form video on it. So expect long form videos to link up with all the short form videos that I've done and just explaining a little more. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments below. If it's some type of asinine, wild, out there, offensive comment, then I'm just gonna glaze over it, or maybe not even see it, who knows. But either way, I appreciate you watching this video all the way to the end. Thank you so much. Hit subscribe if you want to get more videos and be notified. Hit like if you found this video of value. And if you think there's somebody else that could benefit from this video, share it with them. Share it with them. I think that there is a bigger conversation that needs to be happening about dealing with racism from white teammates on teams as athletes of color. It is not easy. And I will, thinking of it now, I'll share another story from my time on a college track team with the decathletes. And there was a very, very problematic, heavily racist thing that was said during that. But for another time, we'll see you later. Thank you so much for tuning into the Social Science Club. Bye-bye.